Impact on criminal justice. How does the Human Trafficking Prevention Act impact criminal justice? This bill will have more impact for the better on criminal justice than probably a vast majority that have been presented and turned into law for the past 2 decades. Take prostitution, for example. By making prostitution hubs online a little bit harder to access, it will single-handedly inflict the greatest blow to the demand side of human trafficking since the inception of the internet. The explosion in human trafficking that we have on our hands has gone hand in hand with easily accessible pornography and prostitution hubs. And yes, pornography does normalize false permission-giving beliefs, it does erode consent, and pornography is an advertisement for prostitution. Basically what happens is guys, in many cases, not all cases, but many cases, get exposed to pornography and they get sucked into using pornography as a coping mechanism. It often starts a slippery slope of the heart, and it can absolutely lead to sexual voyeurism, domestic violence, and things of that nature. It can lead to the hiring of prostitutes. It is not by accident that the prostitutes on Backpage.com offer to provide real-life porn experiences. It's because they know that prostitution and pornography are all tied together. And you look at it more closely, you'll see that prostitution, human trafficking, strip clubs, pornography, drugs, cartels are all in bed with one another. There's a seamless, interconnected continuum. The tech companies have no business supporting that, and they do have a duty to protect their own consumers from being exposed and injured and subjected to criminal liability. The tech companies have a duty not to promote prostitution, and they are playing a role in promoting prostitution by making these online prostitution hubs readily available. Now, we can't get rid of the prostitution hubs, but we can pass laws that make it more inconvenient to get access to them. And that's not something to be mean. That's to help people stay out of jail, and it's to help stop victimization, reduce it at the very least. Furthermore, take child pornography. Right now, if an individual in this state stumbles onto child pornography, they could go to prison for 20 years. So what this does is once the bill is passed and turned into law, it would mean that it would take the child pornography and put it behind a blind rack. So if a consumer was charged with child pornography subsequently, it would mean that they would have likely chosen to have the filter deactivated and then interface with the content. So this bill greatly strengthens the element of intent. Furthermore, take revenge pornography. Right now, there's a big push to prosecute revenge pornography. That's not invalid. There's 34 states that have revenge pornography laws. Revenge pornography causes victimization, and what this bill does is it reduces and mitigates the harm to victims. So for example, let's say a 12-year-old female has a photo taken of her without her permission that's lewd, and the person who takes the photo uploads it online for all the world to see, including her parents, including all of her peers. Well, once this bill passes, it would mean that that image would be put behind the digital blinder rack, which would mean that only adult consumers who have chosen deliberately to have the filter removed and paid the fee could have access to that image. So the fact that that 12-year-old's peers would readily not have access, and that all the adults who had chosen not to deactivate the filter wouldn't have access, would greatly reduce the injury imposed on that victim. So if you're for victims, then you should be for the Human Trafficking Prevention Act.